What's up, everybody? Welcome to SWAT MMA. This is episode number 153. I'm Jared here with Paul.
What up?
Coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. Joining us today, fresh off his title fight victory at BKFC 34, is new middleweight world champion David Mundell. Paul and I will also be discussing the Kevin Holland versus Stephen Thompson fight and what exactly went wrong there for Kevin. And finally, we are going to be taking a look ahead to UFC 282, headlined by Blachowicz versus Ankalaev for the now vacant UFC light heavyweight title. Before we get to the weed of the week, though, Paul and I are excited to bring you news about the new UFC Hasbulla collection that has dropped at the UFC store. From fight kits to t-shirts and more, you can get all kinds of awesome gear, plus a super dope collaboration with Timex watches that have the Octagon-themed logo. You can get all the best deals on this and the rest of the UFC store's gear by going to SWATMMA.com and just click that cool gear button. You'll help out the show and you'll get yourself a little bit of a discount. Now, you know what time it is. Grab your stash, fire it up, and let's get into the weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
Oh, my friend, we have a few different things today.
Yeah, so we got some cartridges, got a joint here. Let's start off with this joint. Got a little apple driver, which is going to be apple fritter mixed with Sunday driver. This is a strain that we've had on the show in the past. It's one of our favorites. It's a good strain.
It's solid. Yeah. Burns nice. Flushed well. Grown expertly. It's good stuff.
Yes, sir.
For an indica, it doesn't really put me under at all either. But let's talk about these cartridges here.
We have a couple different cartridges going. So we got this water gun by Kanji, as well as this watermelon by Secret Orchard.
Now, I like this from Kanji. We've been smoking on this pre-show. This is one of their disposables. You can get good deals from these at a place called The Dispensary here in Las Vegas. I picked this puppy up on sale for only $10, 97% THC, about a third of a gram in there. It's pretty sporty. And that watermelon, though, that's a little bit interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, so let's just look at the terpene profile for that watermelon one since you brought it up. So we've got 14 milligrams of limonene, you got 5 milligrams of humulene, you got 4 milligrams of linalool. So it's got a lot of different terpenes, and which is why it's really strange. This literally just tastes exactly like watermelon. I mean, there could be something else in there, but
it's very interesting because this, you compare it to this, the water gun here by Kanji, this tastes like plant material.
Yeah.
Like the aftertaste is like, it's not the greatest tasting. It's not bad, but it tastes like you're smoking plant material. All right. As it probably should, because that's what it is. This tastes like, like fruity watermelon. It's very interesting. I don't know if they're putting flavors in there or not. It's made by Secret Orchard. They don't have any information on the box about any flavors being added. This could just be a really nice terpene mix that is bringing that real sweet, it's undeniably a watermelon flavor.
Yeah,
this is our first product we've tried from them, so I'm down to give it another go, being as you can get them.
I'm interested in seeing maybe if they have any other fruit flavored stuff and see if it's going to give that same.
Dude, I'm guessing by their box here, because this is going to be a uniform box. I mean, they got a strawberry, a lemon, a blueberry, and a lime on the box, and a pineapple and on the back too. I'm guessing everything's going to be fruit forward here.
Yeah, so I'm interested to try some other stuff as well, for sure.
Well, wherever you are, we hope if you choose to join in with us and you're smoking that you're enjoying something as well. If you're not in a legal state, you can always visit our sponsor for this segment, Binoid CBD. All the information is at SWATMMA.com. Again, you can just click that cool stuff button and Binoid CBD. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Joining us today, fresh off one of the sickest knockouts of the year, is the brand new BKFC Middleweight champion, Dave Mundell. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Listen, it's quite a weekend that you are coming off of, and we're really looking forward to hearing about it. But before we kind of get into your championship fight, why don't we roll things back a little bit, if that's all right with you, and let's talk about what first got you into becoming a professional fighter.
You know, I guess the short answer to that is wrestling in high school. I wrestled 1 year in high school, and from there, I was just looking to do something that was close to it, and combat sports is just what it was.
You had a solid run in MMA while you were competing in mixed martial arts. At what point did you decide to stop with the mixed martial arts and switch into bare knuckle? And what was it that made you decide to make that switch?
I guess really just taking the first bare knuckle match. I guess I haven't really stopped doing MMA. I just been doing the bare knuckle right now, and when I took that first fight, I just kind of like fell in love with it, and it just fits me better, I guess. So I just run with it for now.
Well, I think your record and your skill and what you've accomplished in just 6-7 fights now would definitely speak to that being a good decision. Where is it that you're training out of at the moment?
All right, so I train out of two of my main gyms, Gracie Clearwater and Shift MMA.
Okay, you've been with Gracie for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm loyal to him. You know, it's my coach. He's been around forever, and although people hear the Gracie name, they think of like jiu-jitsu, and I'm the striking coach over there. So then the guy, obviously my striking coach, Jarrod Paul, out of Shift MMA. So we just bounce around. I also got a Muay Thai coach over at MJM Muay Thai, and I've just been doing a little bit of sparring over at Battle Zone. So keep up everywhere I need work.
Yeah. So speaking of like your fight camp, leading up to this fight, you knew you were coming in against a guy in Ricci who was a lot bigger than you, that at least size-wise. You guys had a very similar in the reach. Were you bringing in a lot of like larger training partners getting ready to fight someone of his stature?
We always try to match our sparring to something to emulate the style of the fighter himself. So yes, I did reach out to a lot of my longer friends, and some of the guys I didn't know if they were tall and they were a good boxer, we'd bring them in as well, and it definitely paid off.
It did. You fought a very, very strategic fight. I mean, a lot of people would think that with the size difference that the two of you had, that a lot of people were expecting a more like think about the Mike Perry MVP fight where you had a kind of similar height difference where he just came in and he smothered MVP and got on the inside and wouldn't let him go anywhere, where you kind of employed the opposite strategy almost, where you stayed around on the outside and utilized a lot of movement and patience and to the head, to the body switches.
Yeah, so naturally I'm very good at pulling people forward, me fighting going backwards, so to speak. So in this camp I did a lot of forward movement and really just focused on getting better at that, so that by the time the fight came around, we could go wherever I needed it to go. If he wasn't going to come forward, then I was going to go forward. He just made the decision to put the pressure on me, which I feel worked to my advantage, obviously. So that's just how it went. But I was ready to go either way.
Yeah, your movement was, it was across all aspects. It wasn't just in and out, but you mixed a lot of hand feints, head feints, staying on the outside, and then, you would slip his punches and then just jump in really fast and lay hands on him. It was something to really see. How were you able to spar, or did you find a way to be able to spar and be able to still, what am I trying to say? I used to box, and so I know what it's like wearing the gloves, okay? And it's totally different in a bare knuckle fight. So a lot of what you did, how do you emulate that with the gloves on, or are you kind of doing soft sparring without gloves, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
If we do sparring, to protect each other, we wear big gloves. We even wear headgear, because you can't suffer any cuts before going in there and cut up more, But what I like to do is I don't like to wear gloves when I hit mitts, when I hit the bag, stuff like that. So I'm always fresh with my range. Like I know where it's at. I know, I just get a better feeling that way, and then we just work it in.
And that's kind of something you spoke about in the pre-fight buildup. They called it on the commentary team intelligent brawling. Is that something that with that sparring and everything, being able to use like the larger gloves, are you able to like kind of practice that more? Is that still at the beginning stage, or you feel like you've truly like mastered that?
I don't feel like I've mastered anything, so everything's so much to learn in boxing and stuff. And even though it's been around forever, it's just you can always learn something and always get better. But it, as far as the intelligent brawling, I just say that because the whole idea is to be in a favorable position. You know, I don't want to in front of you where I can hit you, but you can also hit me. I want to fall off. I want to get to the side of you. I want to get behind you if I can, and where you can't even throw a punch. You know, so I like to put myself in a position where it's like 70-30. You know, and that's why I call it intelligent brawling, because it gives me a chance to hit you and then I move right away. Then I hit you and I move the other way and just stay avoiding those punches.
Following up on that, Dave, the knockout sequence, starting with in the third round, when first you knocked him down, you know, you had a straight right to the head and then a straight left to the body, and it just dropped him. And then it looked to us, you know, because we've watched the sequence a few times now, that you were really setting the knockout up after that, because it looked like you were feigning right and then doing a straight left to the body, and then a feint right and then a straight left to the body. And then you did a straight left but to the face, and it looked like he had kind of, you know, started to do that elbow tuck a little bit, preparing
Yeah,
for that body shot, and you landed that left like perfect.
I guess the combination that I threw was a very basic one, and almost all the fighters know it, but it was really me being able to reach and connect with him that set it up. Just we call it basically just pulling his hands. You know, once you hit somebody to the body and they start worrying about it, they start dropping their hands to like try to protect their body, and obviously if their hands go low, it's not on their face, vice versa. So by attacking the body, getting him thinking about that, I was able to pull his hand just by lowering my level and throwing up high. It just moved his hands out of my way.
Well, it was a beautiful thing to watch, and it worked out really well. Um, you know, I have a question. You know, you've mentioned several times, you know, in the build up to this fight that you and he were friends. What was it like when you first got the call and you got the offer to fight, you know, for the title, and then you find out that it's going to be against your boy? Did you have any hesitation? Did you think about it? Was it a? I got to imagine that's a mixed feeling at that point.
So we'll start a little bit farther back. They had offered me to fight Ricci for a title eliminator. I had turned it down. They offered it again. We were trying to figure out some numbers and shit like that because he was a friend. Wind up not going through. I wind up fighting the last event in Tampa before Ricci, and I got a good knockout there. So they're like, hey, we want you to fight for the title. But at that point, Ricci held it. I want to stay at 85, but I have a teammate who's dominating that side of it right now, Jarrod Warren. So he's going after that belt. So if I wanted to have a title shot, I had to stay at 75. I'm like, okay. I know Ricci just had some stuff happen with him where I think we were supposed to fight in November, but he wasn't going to be ready for it, so it was going to be December. Still wasn't going to be ready for it, so I started training to fight. I think his name was Jomi at 185. Going through the whole camp, still it worked out because he was a taller opponent as well, so I was still training to fight someone that was 6'4", but it was supposed to be at 185. And then the night that another one of my teammates fought, Crystal Pittman, they announced it that we were fighting, and we had no contracts, no idea that we were going to be fighting each other yet. It was just announced, and we seen it. We're like, everyone starts texting me. They're like, "Congrats, it's your time." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "What's going on?" You know. And then, but at that point, it couldn't really turn it down. Not that I would have anyways, but it was kind of funny, and that's how that all happened.
So although it was kind of like a bittersweet moment after the win, you could see that, you know, you truly cared about his well-being and everything. Now we're a couple days later. Have you really gotten a chance to really like settle in and realize that you're literally the best 175 in the world and, you know, the BKFC champion?
I'll be honest with you, I don't feel any different. You know, I felt that I was the best before, and now everyone else just knows it. It I don't know. I have a lot of people asking me that question. It's like when you get your black belt in jiu-jitsu, you're supposed to have all these superpowers, you know. But I've been this way the whole time. I'm the same me. I train the same way. I just put the work in, and that's what we do. So I just feel the same.
Um, And so, where do you feel like this puts you next? Do you sit back and let a contender like come about, or are you the kind of person that you want to jump back in there and you want to defend this belt? You want to be super active?
I definitely want to be active. You know, the whole reason why I wanted the belt was because of the paychecks that come with it. You know, so I didn't get it to just sit down and wait. So I'm ready to go as soon as they find me an opponent, and as soon as my suspension is up for getting cuts in the fight, I'm ready. And as far as the opponent goes, the only one that I think right now that makes any bit of sense is Mike. I want him. I want the money fight.
That would be a great fight.
Yeah, that seems like the fight to me as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit before we wrap things up. You know, our listeners, they always like to know a little bit about fighters outside of the cage or the ring or the octagon or whatever sport that, you know, we're talking with. So what are some of the things you like to do when you're not fighting? Like, for instance, do you follow combat sports? Are you a fan of, you know, UFC, MMA, these types of things, boxing?
I don't really watch much TV at all. Usually me and my brother over here, we're always fishing, doing stuff like that. I'm not fishing, I'm working. If I'm not working, I'm training. So it's just the same old, we just grind.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So, bro, coming into the sport, is there anyone you really like emulate like some of your style from, or any like certain fighters that you like look up to?
I don't know one special. I mean, if I see something that someone does that I think works, I'm like, oh, you know, let me go play with that a little bit, you know. But my coach does a very good job of just letting us be us, and just maximizing what we're able to do with it, you know. So making us more efficient. So my style from the beginning has always been very elusive. I like to pull people forward, and we just run with that. And then when we need to make little adjustments, like for this fight, in case we had to go forward, then we just train a little bit of that. But for the most part, I'm me, and I'm the only one who's got it that way.
Word. You know, I've imagined being a striking coach, it almost gives you a little bit better insight when it comes to strategizing your fights and when you're in, you know, in the ring and you're fighting versus someone who's strictly being coached. Do you find that to be the case?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you find that being a striking coach also helps you in your fights?
Okay, so yes, and the reason why is because I believe that the best way to retain anything is to teach it, you know. So when I teach my style, I teach what I do. So when I do that, it's just getting more reps in. So that's where it gives me the advantage there. um, it seems to work out that way when you're able to teach something because you fully understand it. You can implement it more.
Well, I'd say it's definitely paying off. I mean, again, we really enjoyed your fight. Congratulations on the belt, on the victory. It was a really high cerebral fight. I mean, the strategies you employed were really appreciated by fans and obviously quite successful. So congrats on everything again. Where can our listeners find you on social media?
My Instagram page is Redneck Mundell. Same with my fan page on Facebook, and then just my name for my regular Facebook page. Nothing.
All right. Is there anybody, any sponsors that you want to mention? Anybody you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
I can run down the list if you want me to. I would love to shout out Catalyst Physical Therapy. You know, they've helped me a long way. Any of my injuries, just like now, I got some stuff with my hands going on, so we got to go back and get in there. They're going to fix me. Condemned Labs supplied me with a bunch of supplements and BCAA powders, protein powders, stuff like that. Helped me get through this camp, stay fueled and stuff like that. I got Legendary Tattoos. You know, they're always supporting me. Outlaw Customs, Fitness 360. Chiseled Inc. is my personal trainer's company, and he's been amazing helping me get through. And then I have my Mitt man, Frankie. He's been awesome. We've been grinding away. We threw that combination 1,000 times, and it showed that night. Team Reaper, Quality Coins, and Florida Alternative Medicine. I love you guys all for, you know, supporting me, bringing me where I'm at.
Thank you so much for joining us, David. Best of luck in your next fight. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Yep. Thanks, champ.
All right, Paul. Now we got this joint fired back up. Really cool talking to Dave. I mean, what a great guy. What an amazing performance. Really excited to see what is in the future for him as he goes on to defend this middleweight title. Now let's talk about the other fight that headlined the card. for BKFC 34, which saw the champ, Luis Palomino, who has the lightweight title and the welterweight title, so 155 and 165, defending the 55 strap last night against Tom Schoaf.
Yeah.
He gets the TKO stoppage. It was actually a referee stoppage in between rounds, but it was technically, I guess, at 1 second of round number 4.
Yeah.
This was once again an amazing performance by a man who, in many call, including BKFC themselves and me included, the greatest pound-for-pound fighter, bare knuckle, on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Palomino is just another absolutely outstanding performance against a very tough, very talented Tom Schoaf. He's come down from welterweight as well.
I mean, Schoaf is one of those guys too. He went down swinging. It was a tough fight.
Dude, he's a big guy. He had a lot of advantages here. I mean, he's 6 feet tall. He had a reach advantage. He had a height advantage. He's younger. I mean, we forget Luis Palomino's 42 years old.
Yeah.
Because he goes out there and he fights like a young man.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too is I think we've talked about this in the past on the show. I feel like Luis Palomino has probably the best game plan and execution on how to bare knuckle box we've seen so far in the sport. You know what I mean? His efficiency when you look at his strikes thrown versus landed, he landed 56% of his strikes, landing 87 of 153.
Yeah, let's look at
4 knockdowns like that efficiency. I think is the difference in a lot of these fights.
Absolutely. Let's compare that. Let's dive into that a little bit deeper because what you said really illustrates his skill level here. We look at the total number of punches thrown: 228 by Tom, 153 by Louis. Okay, Tom landed 103, but he missed 124. He missed more punches than he landed, not because he's an unskilled fighter, but because Luis Palomino's movement is impeccable.
Yeah.
You compare that to Palomino, who threw far less, 153, right? But he landed 87 and he only missed 66.
Yeah.
See, he's the fucking opposite way.
That was the same thing that was the difference in his past fight versus Elvin Brito also.
Mm-hmm.
His ability to stay efficient and land his combos is kind of what has been his ability to get in, land the shots, get out is like been his real biggest like difference, I think, in his ability to be at the top of this, bare knuckle 2 divisions now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, he mixed things up, pretty solid. He did land far more strikes to the head than to the body overall.
Yeah.
But the body shots that he landed were very powerful. I mean, one sent Tom tumbling to the canvas. I don't think it counted as an actual knockdown. I'm not sure, but he did drop him with I think it was a big, huge left hand in round 1.
Yeah.
And it was just once again illustrative of why this guy's the best in the business right now. And it for me, Paul, seeing that performance last night again brings me to the fact he needs to fight Connor Tierney.
Yeah,
we need to see that at welterweight.
That'd be a big fight. I think
him and Connor are so similar yet different in like their styles, but they both utilize movement and slipping punches in really smart tactical ways for BKFC, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, and I think that literally that's what you're looking at with Luis Palomino. What's really going to be next for him is some of these bigger fights of guys that are coming into the BKFC now, because I feel like he's kind of cleared out the guys who have been in the BKFC for a while that have like kind of been the ones that help kind of build that division with him. Now he's getting a lot of this like this competition that's coming from other organizations and other parts of the world that are now being integrated into this like what I would say is a very interesting probably the 2 most interesting weight classes in BKFC and honestly in combat sports. Everybody knows like that 55 to 70, at least like in MMA and I think in the BKFC is the most interesting, like talented division, like in combat sports.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Like and even boxing too. Like there's everyone who is around that size. It's easy for people. Those people get popular because it's easier for guys who are watching it to look at that and be like, I could do that. You know what I mean? Like as stupid as that sounds, you know what I mean? Like it brings more casual fans in, I feel like. And that's why I feel like Luis Palomino is setting himself up now for maybe like a possible, I would say the first like super fight in BKFC. And I think that would, although I love Conor Tierney, I think that's a great fight. I think him and Chad Mendes is like the biggest fight for him.
Connor and Chad, or
No, I think Palomino and
see,
Chad.
you're right. I forgot about Chad Mendes. Actually,
Yeah.
I forgot he is in that weight class. That's
I think that's a.
is he lightweight or welterweight? It doesn't matter because he can fight
Yeah.
Louis at
I
either.
think he's 55.
I think he's 55 as well because we
Yeah.
were talking about how he's bigger.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest
The
fight in
UFC
BKFC right now for him. Because I think skill and like actual like talent and like fight wise, him and Conor Tierney is probably a better fight. But like if like we did talk about, Palomino's 42 years old. He's at the top of the division. He gets pretty much whatever he wants. I would say it would be Chad Mendes.
Yeah, much respect to Chad Mendes, but Connor Tierney would whoop his ass in bare knuckle. He's much
I think
bigger.
so too.
I don't even think they could meet. I don't think Chad can get up to 165.
Yeah.
I keep saying 170 on accident. It's not 170. I'm just so used to the UFC's welterweight being 170. It's 165 in BKFC. But I can't see Chad Mendes fighting guys that are over 6 feet tall and that big.
Yeah.
Not guys at Conor Tierney's skill level. But I think you're right. I forgot about Chad Mendes. That is a great fight for him. That they might look to do that next.
Yeah.
If not, then what would be smart is if they book that fight next and put Conor in the co-main.
Yeah. Built that up even more.
Mm-hmm. Or they do the opposite. They have him bounce back up to 165 and defend against Conor and put Chad in the co-main.
Yeah.
Against a big name,
Yep.
and if he wins,
Either
then
one,
you book it after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think those
that
are
would
the
build
next
some
two
hype.
steps. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, another spectacular event from BKFC. I'm really excited every time they put on shows.
Yeah.
And they consistently deliver. And before we move on and take a look at the UFC, Paul, I do want to talk about this. It's kind of fascinating, and there might be people here that for some reason they still aren't, spending the $5 a month to get the pay-per-views, but they happen to be watching like the free prelims on YouTube or something. And because BKFC and bare knuckle boxing is still an evolving sport, you get this interesting dichotomy where in a lot of the prelims and in the earlier fights on the card, you see some more raw fighters that are going out, and it's exciting to watch, but it is not at the highest talent levels yet. But that's not the way the whole card is, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. This is how you learn. You know what I mean? There's a lot of young fighters coming up in the sport, and you go out there and it's all action. They're throwing blows nonstop,
especially a new sport like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might see some fighters that maybe shouldn't even be in there yet. You know what I mean? They get their ass kicked, but that's okay. But when you get up into the pay-per-view and you get to these champions, we are seeing the evolution of a sport before our very eyes.
Oh yeah, especially when you look at even the last few major pay-per-views that they've put on. Like we've seen guys like Michael Venom Page and Mike Perry who transitioned from MMA and saw how in bare knuckle there's almost like this even ground where it's like, I don't care what like sport you've been from, whether it's boxing, whether it's kickboxing, whether it's just mixed martial arts, there's still this like this difficult like transition that everybody faces, whether it's the guys at the beginning of the card or the guys in the main event and the co-main event. And I feel like that's what the difference in the sport is right now, is in these like smaller, like not smaller, but these lower fights on the card. It's just chaos. But when you get to the top, it's like more controlled chaos.
It's very controlled and strategic and skilled.
Yeah.
And these guys are finding out what types of strategies work in this environment. And you can see them find it out in real time.
Yeah.
Because you can't really spar this shit.
Well,
you can't go out there bare knuckle and just spar like you can in MMA if you put the gloves on. Because it's just, there's such a difference. Like people think, oh, it's just boxing without the gloves. Yeah, but that changes everything, bro.
Well, if that's the case, then fucking Artem Lobov is fucking WBC champion.
Right. There you go.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's a different
like
sport.
It's a different sport without a doubt.
And different strategies bring success. And we are seeing the guys for right now have these really, really strong strategies. You've got a veteran in a guy like Luis Palomino, veteran in combat sports, right? Bringing all that experience to the table. and he's 8-0, champ status. And you've got another, you know, an up and coming fighter we're talking about in Connor Tierney, who was an amateur boxer who chose bare knuckle boxing specifically.
Yeah.
Right. So he's learning and developing strategies that he didn't pick up in all these other things. It's just a different approach, and it's very fascinating and it's super exciting. And I would encourage everybody, like, if you're down with combat sports and striking and boxing, don't believe the bullshit that this is just like a tough man contest, but brutal.
Yeah.
These are skilled fighters, and if you're really into, you know, if you're a fight nerd like me and Paul, you can see things like, it's like the equivalent of being able to watch the UFC when it was still the Gracies dominating everything and people trying to figure out how to beat them. And then you're like, oh my God, how are we going to beat these wrestlers? And then you had Chuck Liddell come in, and it was the era of like the striking and the fucking stuff and all these takedowns. And you see people learn to beat that. See it all unfolding in BKFC too for like $5 a fucking month.
Just look at the heavyweight division in BKFC. It was dominated by Joey Beltran at the beginning, and now he's literally, there's been just so much changing of guard, and like in this organization, just like already, it's fun to watch.
It is, absolutely, man. It's a great time.
And if you're just a casual fan and you don't really like, you know, care to get that close to watch it, it's fucking exciting always. There's never a boring card, even if it's like guys you don't know. It's fucking bare knuckle fighting. Pretty hard not to be exciting.
Every fight is good. The women's fights are exciting. The men's fights are exciting.
If you're into combat sports in general, like, and you think BKFC is boring, you're just being
this just
like you're just being a hater at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick look at the fight night from last weekend, Paul, before we talk about the big pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Here, that, you know, it's the UFC's final pay-per-view of the year. We'll get to that in a second, but I don't want to talk about the whole card, or we'll be here for a really long show.
Yeah.
But the one thing that really stood out was the main event. And first off, I do want to say that it was an exciting main event. It won fight of the night.
It was a great fight, and some of the rounds could be up for like rounds of the year.
They were very exciting.
Yeah.
I have a problem as a fan with what happened, though, and I'm going to talk about this as a fan of Kevin Holland. And I understand that Kevin is, you know, taking umbrage with people on Twitter, even probably as right now when you're listening to this, who are criticizing his performances. But I think that's just that's what happens when you decide on a certain strategy and then that strategy fails and you do it in public and you make certain choices. People are going to debate them. And so I don't mean any shit on Kevin Holland. I think he's great. I'm a fan. I'm still a fan. I'm going to watch his next fight and be excited about it. But I think he shit the bed in this fight when it comes to, like, I'm not talking about entertainment value. I'm talking about, you need to win in this game.
Yeah.
You need to get the win for reasons of your future, as your career and your pocketbook. The whole point, it's you're there for the win. And he, in my estimation and in my opinion, he had this fight in the bag in the early rounds. I've never seen Stephen Thompson get so fucked up as he was in the first couple of rounds. He was bloody and battered, and Kevin Holland had him taken down and was on top of him and could have ground and pounded him into the goddamn dust, in my opinion. I was like, Jesus Christ, he just put a striking clinic on fucking Wonder Boy. I was blown away. But then he stood up and let fucking Wonder Boy back up on purpose, gave up the dominant position. I think he did that at least twice. There's talk now of a gentleman's agreement between the two of them to not grapple and to not do any wrestling. Sorry, this is a mixed martial arts contest. You just blew the fight. You entertained the fuck out of me, bro, but you blew the fight. You had him locked up. You had him done, and you decided, I mean, his own corner, bro, in between rounds, I don't remember the exact round, but they said specifically, put your ego away and grapple.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't do it.
Here's the thing.
So
there's a couple different layers to this, I think.
I found that disappointing, and that's all I have to say. Go ahead.
I think there's a couple different layers to this. So it's kind of been a weird theme in Kevin Holland's career that, like, he's gotten to this, like, highest of highs and has been kind of shot down by grapplers. Like, you know, so now all of a sudden I just kind of feel like he has this mental, like, space where he's like, fuck them, fuck that whole shit. Like, I'm not doing that at all. Not saying it's right, not saying it's smart, not saying it's what he should be doing, but it's just kind of what it is. You know what I mean? he's turned into this guy where he's like, fuck grappling. Well, it's like, dude, you're in mixed martial arts. Like, I don't know what you want to do. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite fighters to watch, honestly. And it just sucks because I see these paths of victory for him in some of these fights, and it just seems like he completely ignores it to go against the grain. And I mean, some people are just like that, I guess. But he always makes it as hard as he can on himself.
For real. And I mean, it's his life. He's a
Like,
big boy. It's his
yeah.
career. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. And
Yeah,
I'm not
100%.
denying him that right or anything. But we also have the right as fans and commentators and people to discuss it. And I just, as a fan, dude, I'm just disappointed because I want him to win.
Yeah.
It's just a big deal for Kevin Holland's career if he knocks out the fucking number 5 welterweight.
Yeah.
He's unranked right now in the division. You go in there, and I've never seen anybody whoop up on Thompson like that. Not in my recent memory, at least. I mean, I know he's lost fights, but usually the path to beating him is wrestling. It's not tooling him up on the fucking feet, which is what was happening. And I do understand that he had a knuckle injury. I understand he broke 3 knuckles.
I don't know.
Blah, blah,
I
blah.
also feel like Thompson was starting to get back at him though. At the end,
that's
there.
why you.
Thompson caught a second wind because like early in the fight, I agree he was getting beat up pretty bad. But I think the whole second part of that fight was it was like Steven was reborn, like between rounds or something. And when he hit him with, what was it 3 fucking wheel kicks in 1 round? Was it the 4th?
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
I know.
like there's a bit of both here where like, yeah, it was Kevin Holland ignoring blatant,
which is better
abilities that he
I
has.
was texting you and saying like this is bullshit. And what I meant, the part that was bullshit was there were points in those later rounds before it was stopped, like in the 4th round and in the 3rd round, where like I felt that Holland was just standing there, and then Wonder Boy was just standing there in front of him, and he was just being allowed to do whatever the fuck he wanted. Spinning wheel kick, sure, no problem. Front kick to the face, sure, no problem. 1, 2, 3 combo, no problem. He's just going to stand there in front of you and not move. So what's better, to do that or to shoot for a goddamn takedown, to lock him up in a tie clinch?
Yeah,
trip him.
Yeah,
it's MMA, homie.
Yeah.
So
and what's crazy too is he has good jiu-jitsu. He has like he's got a good jam. Like what?
Or did he knock him out?
He knocked him out.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he subbed. He subbed somebody though. It's just I don't know.
Well, it is his career, man. But I'm just gonna call it as I saw it. And I understand it, and you're right. He is frustrated with the whole grappling thing. But now what? You can tell me he's not frustrated now.
Forever.
He gets the Chimaev ass whooping, which upset him so bad he fucking did that retirement thing. He was like, "Fuck this whole shit."
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, he lost that fight pretty bad afterwards. I mean, he started off good, but like you said,
I wonder how
Boy was tooling him up.
Yeah, I wonder how long he's out with that hand injury. Probably 4 or 5 months, 3 months.
And how discouraged is he going to be after that? When he could have just ground. I think. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch it since the original, so I could be off. But I think it was somewhere in round 2. He had him down, and Wonder Boy was hurting. Wonder Boy, I remember thinking, I never seen Wonder Boy look so fucking bloody before. Like he's getting fucked up.
He bloodied up. Wonder Boy was good.
Like shit.
Yeah.
And then he was on top of him. Like this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got to say.
There's definitely something to be said about like closing out. You know what I mean? It's a big part of the MMA game. I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, if you're running out of gas, you take him down and close the fight out.
I don't want to see Kevin Holland be one of these. You could have been a contender fucking stories. You know what I mean?
Because I think he has the talent to be a legitimate contender. That's the thing.
Does.
Yeah.
But it's poor fight IQ, or no, that's not true. He has good fight IQ. It's a stubborn streak.
Yeah.
Is what it is. He knows what he needs to do to win. He's done it several times. I don't believe he has a bad fight IQ like Michael Bisping was saying. Although I get Bisping's point. He's saying the same shit we're saying. But it's a stubborn streak. Yeah, it was just stubbornness. So let's move on, though. Best of luck to both of them. And good job for Wonder Boy Thompson. I mean, what a performance on for him.
Yep.
At least they got the $50K. I wish it was more. And see what's in the future.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the future, we've got UFC 282, which we're going to end the show talking about this, the UFC's final pay-per-view of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some changes, haven't we, Paul?
Yeah, it's
I mean, let's
overall
recap what happened.
Yeah.
What happened to that main event? It was Yuri versus Glover, the rematch that honestly nobody outside of Glover and his fans wanted.
I mean, I thought it was warranted. I guess Glover's on the back end of his career. There's no real super obvious. Although the now main event are deserving title challengers, I don't think either of the guys had like some crazy overwhelming claim to the belt that Glover didn't. You know what I mean?
No, it's true. The division was a little stagnant, I guess, in
Yeah.
a way, even with a new champion. But I was like, whatever. I mean, I'm not mad about the rematch, but I
Yeah.
just wasn't like, boy, Glover needs a rematch.
hmm
But anyways,
So
that's not even fucking happening now.
yeah, so last week, or was it 2-3 weeks ago? Comes out that Yuri Prochazka had freaking destroyed his shoulder somehow, like really, really bad, and he
We don't
could
have
be
the
out for
details,
like
but the UFC
they
said
said
it
like
was
a
the worst
year and a
ever.
half plus,
Yeah. The
possibly.
UFC called it the worst shoulder injury in the history of the organization.
Yeah, so he vacates his belt. Glover was first set to fight Jan Blachowicz for the interim title. Oh no, I'm sorry. He was going to fight Ankalaev for the the vacant
The
title.
vacant title, yes. Vacant.
But he said that wasn't enough time to change his camp up and train for someone like that. He was training for Yuri.
And he said he's old and he needs to focus his fight camps on specific
which is
strategies.
understandable. He's
I get that.
42, 43.
You can't deny that. It's not like he's a pussy.
Yeah, no.
He is a guy that has to rely on strategy to fight
100%.
somebody. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But the UFC was like, fuck you, and passed him over. And now we've got Blachowicz fighting Ankalaev.
Yeah, well, this originally was just a co-main event title eliminator.
Mhm.
So this fight was already going to happen anyways. So I think this is actually a really, really good fight too.
Look, Magomed, I don't like his associations, and we're not going to dive into it. And I hope he loses the fight, personally. But speaking to his fighting skills alone, he's extremely talented. He's 18-1.
Mhm.
He's a big dude. He's 6'3". He's a little, less on the reach. It's a 75-inch versus 78-inch reach. They're both orthodox fighters.
Yep.
He does have the age advantage by about 9 years on Blachowicz. Blachowicz is getting up there a little bit.
Yeah.
But what do you think here? Is this the young buck taking over once again, or is Blachowicz going to knock this dude out like he has so many in the past?
I don't know. So honestly, Jan Blachowicz is such a different fighter. Like in so many different fights I've seen him in over the years. Like honestly, when you look like at his title run, when he knocks out, Corey Anderson, knocks out Dominic Reyes, becomes a champion, defends it against Israel Adesanya. It was like, wow, Jan Blachowicz is the man, and everyone else is fucked. And
I thought he was going to be champ for a while.
Yeah, and then they set up the Teixeira fight where everyone was like, "Ah, man, it sucks. Like, why are they doing this to Teixeira at the end of his career? Like, yeah, we'd love to see him fight for the title, but it's a long shot and blah blah." And he just goes in and dominates Jan. Like, it was not a close fight. He was winning all the exchanges, takes Jan down, chokes him out real quick.
Put on a clinic.
Easy. And then after that, you see Jan fights Alexander Rakic, and who would have been, that young buck taking over the old man. He ends up winning that fight. So I don't know. I don't really know what Jan Blachowicz is right now. I know Magomed Ankalaev is a fucking beast. Like we've seen.
I mean, he's coming. Like, look at his hit list here in his last 5 fights. He beats Ian Kudaleva, which is no joke. He goes through Krylov, which is no joke. He gets Ozdemir, no joke. Thiago Santos, no joke. And then fucking Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
And Anthony Smith is still, respected fucking tough out. And he whooped him up quick. I mean, he's another one of these Dagestani fighters that are they're tough as fucking nails.
Yeah. He's a beast. But I don't know.
Dude, the fan in me, I'm picking on who I want to win. All right, and I like the Polish power. I really like Jan. I think he's a good dude. I think he was a great champ, and I would like to see him take out Magomed here. Yeah,
my heart says Jan. Like I want Jan to win, but my brain is saying that Ankalaev is going to be he is going to be the next guy for sure.
I feel it. I'm just keeping my fingers fucking crossed here. We do have some other interesting fights on here. I mean, I'm pretty excited about the co-main event. We got Paddy the Baddy losing weight as we speak. You know, fucking fighting Jarrod Gordon in the co-main event here.
Yeah,
This is a good
test.
spotlight for him. You know, it's here in Vegas. The pay-per-views here in Vegas are always big deals. It's the year-end event, although the UFC is not making as big a deal out of it as they typically do.
They're still running the commercials as the other fucking pay-per-view.
Yeah, with the old
main event.
But you know, Patty's he's here. He's going to be in town for quite a while. He's doing appearances. You know, like Culture Kings in the Forum Shops on December 3rd and 4th. You know, a week before the fight. So he's here. He's doing his thing. But I'm pretty confident that he's going to stay focused and not distracted, despite all of the hoopla that is surrounding him wherever he goes now, especially here.
Yeah.
But he's facing Jarrod Gordon, which is a tough fight, man. Like, that's no joke. Gordon is a tough out. It's a good test here for Patty the Batty.
Yeah.
First off, my question to you, Paul, is do you think the extreme weight gain and loss is going to come into play here at all? Or is he still young enough and his body adaptable enough to be doing this kind of shit?
It hasn't really been a problem in any of those fights, so I don't.
I mean, he ballooned up pretty goddamn big. Like, I would thought some of those photos of him were photoshopped. I was like, that's not what he's looking like right now. He can't be that round. He looks like fucking Cartman from the goddamn South Park. I'm like, that is not. And no, it was. He was like 210.
Yeah, but that was before when he fought. What's his name? Whatever.
Well, they could have
Levitt.
been.
Yeah.
I mean, the pictures were since then.
Yeah,
and it was implied that it was since his last fight and in between this fight, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but still, we've kind of seen this happen in his other fights and not really affect him in that way. I do think Gordon is going to be a much bigger test than he's ever had in his career, to be honest. But I think the Patty train just continues to roll on.
Yeah, I think he's got what it takes to fuck him up. I think he's going to continue to rise to the occasion, much like Conor McGregor did. He kept just rising to the occasion. You know, before his downfall, there was when he was on the come up, and I think that he's got the skills to beat Jarrod Gordon. I just think it won't be easy.
No, it won't be easy.
And I'm excited for it. I hope that his next matchup is a ranked fighter. I don't think Jarrod Gordon's ranked, is he?
He's like been ranked and been pushed out, and you know how the UFC is. It's a what you've done for me lately league. So like Gordon's been ranked in the past. I think he was just pushed out. So he's probably
do you feel that this fight ends? Do you think it's a decision, or do you think?
I think Patty does what he does, man. I think he ends up getting a submission victory.
He's gonna knock him down with the fists.
I don't even know if he does that. I just think if things go bad and we've ever seen Patty face any kind of real adversity in the UFC, he tends to lean on his jiu-jitsu.
As he should, because his striking is fun. And he's got hands, but he's sloppy.
He is sloppy.
He really needs to. That's the only thing I see that could be his potential downfall. But it can be fixed. He's just pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
Like
he hits hard
on the striking. He hits hard as fuck, and when he throws, it's all right. But I don't know if you can get away with some of that shit at the top tier, man. Motherfucker might piece you up.
I wouldn't even say it's sloppy. I just would say it's not very technical. You know what I mean?
Like, well,
it's
look at
it's not like sloppy in the idea that he's just winging shit, but I just don't think it's like the most like technical. He throws. You know, he just throws. He doesn't have.
Well, look at the Sergio Popovich versus Tai Tuivasa fight from the last Fight Night event. I think that's a perfect example where you had Tuivasa out there just winging hooks like a wild man. So wild he was falling down sometimes. Whereas you had Sergey firing 1-2s straight down the middle and uppercuts, which I fucking harped on a million times on this show, the importance of uppercuts, and I think that's the next big punch in MMA. And he whooped him up on it. And I think that's where Patty could run into some difficulty if he doesn't tighten it up, as you get to that upper echelon where these dudes are firing crisp 1-2s and uppercuts and not just wild hooks that you see coming a mile away. You might have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
But there's, like I said, there's no reason he can't tighten it up. And I don't think Jarrod Gordon's the guy to take him out.
Yeah, me either. Perfect. So, heading down the card, we have Robbie Lawler taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio, which is, I think, a pretty good fight.
That's a solid fight, as long as we avoid the eye poking.
Yeah, don't poke Robbie in the eye. He's too old for that.
Yeah, he can't. His old ass can't be eye poked.
No, it's not nice.
I would definitely think the advantage is lying with Santiago here. I love Robbie. I hope he gets the W.
Yeah, Ponzinibbio has been up and down, but I think this is his.
Dude,
is his fight
he
to
might be
win.
able to turn it up. Some of his punching is so fast and
Oh, yeah.
explosive, and Robbie is just getting up there. I don't know if he could withstand it enough before the ref stops in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I see this going. And I don't want it to go that way, but I see a flurry, a mad flurry from Santiago stopping this fight at some point, probably in the second to third round.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I agree with that.
Darren Till's making his comeback. We haven't seen Darren in a while.
Yeah.
Fighting at the middleweight.
This is going to be a very interesting.
Who's he fighting?
Duplessis, which
Duplessis.
it's hard to spell his name. It's hard to pronounce.
Dricus Duplessis.
But he's fucking elite. He's really good. This is going to be a very interesting fight for Darren Till, though, because this is going to be the first fight we've seen with him since his move over to train with Chimaev, and everyone always kind of said his biggest, his biggest weakness has always been his grappling.
Yeah.
So now he's spent about, I think, 2 years now, a year and a half, 2 years, whatever.
It's been a while.
Training with Hamzat and his team, which seems like it's filled with a bunch of killers. You had Gustafsson in there. You got Alir Latifi. You've got a lot of really good light heavyweights who hit hard as fuck. So I'm curious to see what Darren Till looks like in this fight.
I am as well. I have a keen eye on his grappling and his wrestling and what he utilizes here. We all know Darren Till's a good striker.
Yeah,
that's a given. So
yeah.
let's see if he's got what it takes here to get the W here, because I think he needs it pretty bad.
Because here's the thing: people look at what with Darren Till like training over there with Kamzat and think like, oh, he's just getting whooped all the time. But people don't realize what it feels like to grapple with someone who can just do it so much better than you. Like I can look back like on like high school, like all the different times I wrestled like with coaches of mine who were like national champs and shit like that, and just like the feel of it is so different that you are like you just grapple so much different after it and wrestle so much different after it, because you know what you have to do to take that person down, that now when he's going to step in here with somebody who's not the grappler that Hamzat Chimaev is, that
he's going to notice
he's
that
gonna
difference right away.
not even just notice that difference. He's just going to do everything different because he knew he had to do it perfect to take him down. So now when he does it perfect, he'll be able to take a lesser wrestler down much easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm curious to see if Darren has picked that up, because if he does, we could be seeing a very dangerous Darren Till that we have never seen before. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm picking Darren.
And he's 185 now. Like it's all different for him now.
It is. I'm very curious at this. I'm very excited about this fight, but I'm picking Darren here. Another fan pick, honestly.
Yeah, I'm picking Darren Till.
But I like it. We got a good featherweight matchup here. This is a good, solid pay-per-view card. There's a lot of name fighters in here. We got Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell finally fighting Ilio Tapera.
Yeah.
I hope I said that right. I might have butchered it a little bit. Sorry if I did, everybody. But, dude, look, Thug Nasty's been an interesting character.
Yeah.
Like, he's a solid fucking fighter.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of
he's a funny guy in real life. Like I remember a couple years ago, he did a couple like local commercials for some dude they were like hilarious. Like I think he put a rap song out that wasn't half bad for a fighter doing a rap song. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lately, he's in the news for some flat Earth shit and wanting to debate Joe Rogan over how we're all living on a giant fucking flat thing. Which I don't know if he's trolling or if he's.
I mean, and if he believes that, whatever.
Dude, you do you. I don't get mad about it. I just find it's interesting. And maybe he's just being an interesting social media presence. But whatever it is, don't let that fool you. He's a fucking nasty fighter.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
He's got some really great
And
jiu-jitsu.
I think people are going to be surprised. I think he beats Tapera here. I think he's got him.
This is interesting because Tapera has fucking power in his hands. We've seen that in his last two fights. So I'm curious to see what it's like if he's able to land on Mitchell. Will he be able to just keep coming, or is it going to be, you know, the difference between these two guys? Because I do think both these guys are both like on the come up. You know, this is a real big fight for both of them.
What's Bryce 15-1? I think
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think Tapora only is. I think he's undefeated also.
in the UFC at least. Yeah,
In the UFC, yeah.
it's a great matchup.
Yeah.
We've got a solid heavyweight
I'm
action.
taking Tapora.
Yeah, you're taking Tapora. I'm taking Mitchell. I'm excited to see what goes down. What about this heavyweight matchup?
Yeah, this is a good fight as well.
Got fucking Rosenstruck
taking
on Dawkins,
yep.
right? Big brother Dawkins. Chris Dawkins is a good fighter, man. He's very
Yeah.
interesting. He's a little unorthodox. You know, Rosenstruck's coming from the kickboxing background, so he's very technical with his strikes. We all know he's
big,
got good shit.
big bombs that he throws every single time he steps in.
Big, massive bombs.
Yeah.
Dawkins is he's awkward a little bit.
Yeah.
Big dude, unorthodox striking. I always find these types of matchup very interesting.
Yeah.
The fan in me, I kind of like seeing the everyman, which is definitely the type of person that Chris Dawkins is. Isn't he like a cop or something?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain. I think he might have quit and now he's full time, but he's kind of like Stipe in a way. But I'm pretty certain he's like a full time police officer.
Oh yeah.
If I'm wrong, sorry, but it's some shit like that. Maybe he's not a fireman though. Well, whatever he's doing, he's good enough. He should be fighting full time, and I like to see guys like that who can come in and have a victory against a seasoned pro who's maybe not got a whole lot of MMA fights compared to the kickboxing background like Rosenstruck. But I'm picking Dawkins here. I like it as a fan. That's what I'm going with.
I'm going with the Rosenstruck.
That's the smart pick. I mean, just I'm not going to deny it. You know, it's the smart pick.
That dude is really good.
These are fun fights, though. Like these are solid, fun fights. What about Edmund Shabazian making his return?
Yeah, this is a real cornerstone fight for him.
Has he left fucking
I would
Tarverdian?
hope, but what, he lost 4 in a row?
He needs to get a new
3
head
or 4 in a row.
coach.
Yeah, that's rough.
Sorry, Edmund Tarverdian is just not a good head coach. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
and I don't want to see him ruin a fighter like he did Ronda Rousey.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. You also don't want to see him like completely shy away, because I thought his biggest, thing he had going for him was his ability to keep people on the outside and land big shots. And I just like his last few fights, we just have not seen that at all. Like,
dude, he's doing the Travis Brown, another fighter that Edmund Tarverdian got a hold of, who just went.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it. Shabazian's got a ton of talent. I have no idea who this guy he's fighting is. The name is a mouthful. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. Do you know who that is? No. All right. So I mean, but let's see how he does here against a fighter they're probably bringing in because he's supposed to get the W here. I mean, you never know, but
yeah,
let's see what he does. Let's find out if he's got a new camp, and if he loses this one, he's in some trouble, man.
Yeah, for sure. And then after that, we have Chris Curtis taking on Joaquin Buckley.
Joaquin Buckley's always fun to watch.
Always great to watch. Yeah, he's coming off a loss. He's trying to get back on track. A close fight. And then Chris Curtis is coming off. What was the main event that he had to fill in for a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago? But
oh yeah, he sure did.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm sorry, but he's a tough guy. He trains out here at Syndicate.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough.
No, I have no idea who wins that fight. It's going to be action packed though.
Yeah,
Buckley's always explosive. Chris Curtis as well.
Yeah,
we'll see what goes down. The rest of the card, man, we got Oben St. Preux making an appearance. We got Eric Silva on the card.
You know what sucked? That Oben St. Preux fight was supposed to be versus Gustafsson. It was supposed to be on the main card.
That's what I thought. I was wondering what had happened to it.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about a pre-show.
Yeah.
Sure.
That would have been sick.
That's a good fight there. This one, I'm not sure who.
I think it's just a late fill-in.
Coley is.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
OSP's an enigma. Sometimes he's amazing. Another guy that just he'll throw these short punches that you don't think, they don't look like they got that much power. It'll just sleep a motherfucker.
Well, you know what it is, man. It's that football background. His ability to explode and like close distance is literally next level.
Yeah. All in all, I'd say that this is a good even with the change in the main event, this is a solid UFC pay-per-view to
Yeah.
end the year, and it's not one where you feel ripped off paying the $75 fucking dollars or whatever.
It doesn't
is
have
now.
like the biggest name at the top, but it has like this is a great
There's depth
pay-per-view.
here.
Like
The prelims are good. The
Mhm.
early prelims are good.
and like a lot of these fights, I can see end up being like bangers. Like,
Yeah. There's potential for a whole lot of action on this
Yeah.
card, up and down, top to bottom.
Yeah.
So it's been great. It's been a great show. We really like to thank our guest, David Mundell, BKFC
sir.
Middleweight Champion, coming on and joining us. It's great talking with him. I want to remind everybody that you can get some of the best deals from the UFC store and from Binoid CBD by going to SWATMMA.com. Just click on that cool stuff button, and there's links there for both.
Also, click the links in our YouTube description as well. Then after that, head over to Instagram and follow us at SWAT MMA Podcast. Then when you're done with that, head over to SWATMMA.com where you can buy a t-shirt and support the podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.